Hi guys, so I'm out in my vegetable garden, which has just been really badly neglected for a couple of weeks, just due to me not having the time or just not having the motivation to deal with it. I've really struggled the last couple of weeks, but I'm back and I'm here and we're gonna hit it hard today. So there's loads of jobs. I've got a backlog of stuff that needs doing. There's a fair bit of weeding that needs doing. We've also got our blighted potato plants that need to come out. So we're gonna be harvesting all our potatoes today. And that's a lot more than I would want to be harvesting right now. So we've still got a few of our second earlies in, they're gonna come out, but all of our main crop potatoes are also gonna come out. So we're gonna talk about that, we're gonna show you the harvest, we're gonna talk about how we can preserve them and make sure that they're not all just gonna go to waste, because it's far more than we're gonna eat in the next month or so. We've got a ridiculous amount to harvest. We're also going to pull out this bunch, this mother bunch of my Egyptian walking onions. I still have two of you out there due some walking onions that I haven't sent. They are Julie Ellaby and Vicky Parnaby. They will be posted this week, next couple of days, I promise. And yeah, I'm just trying to catch up. So we're going to have a really good harvest, a good weed and a tidy up. And hopefully we're going to be able to get some things in the ground now in place of all this space left over by the potatoes. We're going to have a look at tidying up some of our plants and just get the area all caught up. But my first job is to harvest all these potatoes. This is why I love no-dig gardening, particularly spuds. Is I'm going to be able to harvest all of my potatoes without having to go near a garden fork. And it's been an incredibly good year, yield-wise. It really has. Almost every single plant has just delivered. So some of them have just gone a little bit green. Over here, I've got a couple with a little bit of that greening on that I've set aside, and I'll show you why. So in a normal year, you see that bit of greening there? That's called salonin, and it's not particularly good for you. A little bit won't hurt you. Now in a normal year, this spud, I would have put that in the sack with the rest, and when it come time to cooking it, we would have just cut that green piece off. However, this year, because we're so heavily blighted, I'm really nervous about that green bit of potato. Now, the reason that's gone green is because it's been exposed to sunlight. Now, that could have been earlier in the growing process, or it could have been later. Now, if it's been later, that could easily already be infected with some of the blight that's on the foliage of the plants. So what I don't want to do is run the risk of putting this in my sack with all my other spuds and have it blight and spread through everything and ruin it. So what I'm doing, I've set these aside because we're going to have jacket potato this evening. So we're going to have these this evening, cut that green off and cook them. And where there's going to be more spuds like this than we're going to be able to use in the next few days, I'm just going to discard them. Two reasons. One, obviously, as I've just said, at risk of blight, I'm a little bit nervous about. Two, we have just got a ridiculous harvest. We've got such a bountiful harvest, I can afford not to take those risks. Okay, so I've run out of time. It's about 4 o'clock, so I need to go and milk the goats. Then I've got to go and cook dinner. And then after that, unfortunately, I have got about 2 or 3 hours of paperwork I need to get done today that has to be done today. So unfortunately, that's me come to an end for how much I can get done in the garden. So I've got a hell of a lot more potatoes to pull out. I've only managed to do this little section here, but I have also managed to take out my mother patch of walking onions. If you remember, I call it my mother patch. It's the first bulbs that I planted, and over the last year and a half, 2 years or so, however long it's been, they got really, really dense and really, really weedy. And there was no other way of really tackling those weeds other than pulling them out. But that's okay, because we've got all of those at the back there, and I'm actually going to extend the bed out further forwards. Whether or not we'll see the benefit of that, whether or not we'll be here long enough to see the benefit of that, I don't know, but that's what we're going to do. So from the mother patch that I've pulled out, which is now down here, I've already separated some of the little onions from the top, and that's what we've got in here. And all of these you can use just like shallots or pickled onions, things like that. And we'll be doing variation of things with those. And then also these are the mother plants, and these are the onions that you get at the bottom, the bulbs that you get at the bottom. That you know, they're not as big as some of the onions you'll grow, but they are at the same time onions and perfectly usable. They I'll just show you one now so you can see. And obviously all this stack I'll have to process and sort out. And they are really, really, I just cut myself a little piece. They are really, really strong, really strong. So you don't need very many of these, and they work really, they're a bit too strong to use in a salad. But of course with these onions, you don't need them in a salad because you've got the greens. Not these old tough greens, but some of the fresher growth, those greens that you'd use in a salad, and they'll work perfectly well. Or of course, you can use these bulb oils in your salads. But what they are really good for is stocks and casseroles and things like that. So from that little bunch, it was probably 2 foot square, 3 foot at the most. We've got all these onions here, as well as all of these top sets and all of those that we haven't separated out yet. So it is a fantastic plant, and of course they just look after themselves, they propagate themselves and they spread themselves. So just a wonderful, wonderful plant. I've got a few courgettes down there, we've got a big sack of potatoes there, and lots and lots of beans and everything else still to harvest. So it looks like I'm going to have to come back. Well, what it looks like is I'll be out here tomorrow evening quite late after work, because I'm really keen to finish what I've started and get this area looking up together again. Because for a while, you know, I've let it go, and you can get to the point where mentally it becomes a bit of an issue, and I kind of got there, but I'm over it now, and I'll feel so much happier when all of this bed is looking much tidier. There's so much to show you here, and I think I'll do another garden tour in the next week or so, because there's a hell of a lot going on back there now that I'd like to share with you, but I don't have time today. That's all I have. That's all we have time for, folks. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thanks for watching, and make sure you press that like button. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Leave me a comment down below, and I will speak to you guys really soon. Cheers.